A shit ton of other cards came out. Ooh, all right. So, yeah, this is messy. Bear with me. Eight of Pentacles. All right, so we got communication coming in. Ooh, all right. So this is going to be both a career and a love thing. Bear with me. We're gonna get through this together. So right away with the Ten of Wands, I feel like you have been historically the person that took on a lot of burdens, whether it was in your work sphere or in your relationship sphere with other people. It could be a lover, it could be friends, family, doesn't matter. Whatever that dynamic is, you're somebody that usually kind of takes the burden on yourself. I feel like this could be due to either you're better with resources than most people. So like, you know, if you're coming from a place where you have more money than somebody else, or you have more fortune on your end, that you're willing to share that with somebody else, whether, like I said, resources, it could be some kind of, like, even just your bandwidth for dealing with issues. It could even just be patience. Like if you have an excess of patience, usually you find yourself as the person that's trying to fix things for other people. It's kind of like you have the wherewithal to do things that others don't want to, which sucks. But the fact that it's a Ten of Wands means that you're kind of coming into a place where there is no want to be people pleasing anymore. You don't want to do that anymore. It's not fun. Listen, like even in my role and what I do, it's not great to kind of like, you know, bear the brunt of a lot of people's issues, if that's a good way to put it. You know, I'm very much so, I'm the oldest child in my family, so I'm very much so always like, all right, you need help, like, all right, let's like get in the car, let's go, like, you know, tabs on me. Like it's like you get used to doing things for other people, and I feel like I'm getting a sense that whoever this reading is for, you're coming away from that time-old tradition of being the person that steps in and helps. Not bad, not good. I feel like if anything, it's a sign of personal growth and learning, especially because, like, you know, burdens are burdens, and they do wear you down. Oops, didn't mean to drop him. They do wear you down. Even with all of this kind of like good karma that you've built up by helping others, I feel like you are in a phase where you're taking another look at how hard it is that you work towards your goals, like the things that you've been able to acquire in your life based on the amount of time that you've put into something. Like I said, whether that's work or relationships, I feel like this is kind of a dual reading because we've got plenty of pentacles on the table, and we've got some emotional fulfillment here, as well as we've got these next two cards, which I'll bring up momentarily, because we've got a divine pair on the table. But when I look at Nine of Cups, this is somebody that's built a very fulfilling life for themselves. This is somebody that has a lot to be grateful for and a lot to kind of take some credit where credit is due, like especially if you're constantly like, you know, like if you are the person that has a little bit more prosperity on your end, or like, you know, you've been fortunate enough to build something up for yourself, I feel like take your freaking credit where credit is due. I cannot express that enough. But I do think that there is this like sense of lack, and the reason why I think this pivots from career and like personal life into relationships is because it's a Nine of Cups, not a Ten of Cups. This is somebody who has been through kind of the ringer when it comes to relationships. I feel like I'm not getting it's weird because I am kind of getting, it kind of goes back and forth. I'm getting a sense that like maybe like a bit of a revolving door, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be partners, it doesn't have to be life partners, like somebody that you've been in relationships with. This could be just kind of like striking out with like either in like recent times or over an extended period of time with trying to find a partner that's suitable or matches you. But I am getting a sense that like there's like this, like I'm just keep picturing like a revolving door. It's kind of like, it's like one heartbreak after the other, or like, you know, one disappointment after the other, which is hard. And I think if anything that is kind of in alignment with this burden, this like burdensome energy, even though, you know, it's a 10 and 10s are completion, which means it's a cycle that you're getting out of. We've still got the Nine of Cups here. We have a divine pair. And I feel like, oh, and it kind of, why is it, everything's so dual? There's always like this like duality piece with my fucking readings. Okay, so I'm getting two distinct groups here. I'm getting, for my empresses, you're not finding men that are standing up to your standard. That's where I'm kind of getting this revolving door of disappointments. And then for the males, well, for the misters in my like collective that might be watching this, for the men in the audience, I would say that you are worried about stacking up to the Empress that you have your sights on. And what's interesting here is when I see that revolving door, it's heartbreak. So the Emperor is usually somebody who's a little like hardened, battle hardened. You know, they've kind of got their scars, they've got a lot to show for everything they've been through, but they're usually not so emotionally available. They're also usually somebody who's a little bit more kind of rigid, like this is my go, no go, it's my way or the highway, like I've been through this a million times, so this is my list of demands. And I think that's a good way to put it, because it is, again, the Emperor card, which is an authoritative card. It's kind of like, this is my list of demands. You have to meet this in order to be in my life. You're very clear about what it is that you want. So I feel like for my divine masculines, I feel that even with this like tall pecking order that you want somebody to like kind of measure up to, you're feeling a little insecure, which is wild. Like it's a very strong energy. Like even as I just hold the card, it's like there's a lot of insecurity here, and it's almost kind of like you don't have anything to be worried about. Like truly, like, and the reason why I say that is because like you've got an Empress here. It's a divine match. So any insecurities, you kind of just have to let them fall to the wayside. I feel like, and it's weird, so I just kind of got like a little download here, and I promise this, and I could not have come up with this. Relationships are never 100% risk-free. Relationships are never 100% safe. So if you're waiting for something to feel 100% safe for you to be able to move forward confidently with somebody, it's not going to happen. And I feel like that's just like reality. I think I'm a bit of a realist myself. I think that's something that you need to hear right now and kind of take that to heart, is that relationships are never 100% safe, and they're never 100% risk-free. Now, for my divine feminines in the crowd, I would say same to you. So it's coming from a different place. It's not coming from an insecure place. I think it's coming from a what's been will always be perspective, which I think is also wrong. I feel like you are also being kind of called to change the script a little bit, kind of change that internal dialogue, that internal mindset where you think that just because everybody's always been a disappointment, that you're only ever going to get disappointments. You're only ever going to get that authoritative, unemotionally available guy. Or emotionally unavailable guy, sorry. Did trip there. But that's not the case either. Like, I feel like whoever this pair is, I feel like it's almost kind of like you're mirroring each other, not in the lens, but in the approach. It's kind of like you don't think it's going to work out because of past. They don't think it's going to work out because of past. The lens is different. The baggage is different. The packages look different. But you're missing the fact that you've got two divine counterparts here. And nobody's ever 100% where they're supposed to be in life either. Like we're never 100% like this is the highest level of personal development that we're going to reach in our lives. It doesn't happen like that. So again, like take only what resonates, leave the rest. But whoever this is for, you have to be willing to bend a little here. Bend to see that there is a possibility for things to go well, and then bend to see, like I said, yeah, like that there's a possibility that things will go well. Just because you've met some not so great people in the past, my divine feminines, that doesn't mean that this next person isn't your it. Or just because they're still working on themselves and they're not a full upright Emperor right now does not mean that they're not suitable as a match for you. So that's a lot. I wasn't anticipating all of that. So we're gonna try to pivot to the other cards that came out. One or both, and I think this applies to both cases, both categories here. You were previously in this mindset of like, I don't want to make a decision. I don't like, nope, not me. Get it. Nope, no, don't want to make a decision. You're getting to a place where you can't continue to make no decision. It's kind of like, for my divine feminines, like, you have to allow this person in, whoever it is, with proper judgment, discernment, of course. And then for my divine masculines, it's kind of like, it's kind of put up or shut up. Like, if you want somebody, but there's like insecurities here, you can't carry those insecurities and hope that something's going to work. Like, you have to kind of give it your all in order for something to be able to come from what you've got in front of you. That's just the fact of it. And I hope I'm not coming off in like a condescending way. It's almost kind of like, I don't know, the energies between the two. It's kind of like, I feel like I'm sitting children down and I'm like, listen, listen, like, you know what you're doing, can we just like act right and like everything will just be fine. Like, I feel like it's kind of like I'm coming to you with like a big sister energy almost, if that makes sense. Like, it's a very non-judgmental energy, so I hope that's coming across. I'm not being condescending. But anyway, you're coming away from this place where you didn't want to make a decision. It's almost kind of like your head is still, I think, like taking some time to get up to speed, but your heart knows what's going on. It's kind of one of those, like, you're struggling with the fact that you've already made a decision, even if you haven't taken any inspired actions yet. Interesting. Because previously there was a fear of it's kind of like you had life settled, you moved away from these turbulent waters, and it's kind of like, I want to stay over here where it's safe and it's comfortable, and like, I don't want to do anything that's gonna fuck it up. Meanwhile, it's like taking like this like leap of faith, or allowing somebody to come to you, like the giving and the receiving dynamic between a divine feminine and divine masculine. I don't care what gender you are or which category falls for who, but it's kind of like you want to operate from like a safe space. But that's like the it of it, right? Like, life and love wouldn't be worth it if we didn't have to risk some stuff now and again, right? So like, you can't operate from someplace safe and like hope that like this new relationship is just gonna like keep going. Like, it's kind of like you have to leave your comfort zone in order for something to kind of like get off the ground, which is 100% true, right? So like in order for you to be able to fly, you got to get off the ground. In order for a relationship to take off, it's also kind of gotta get off the ground. So a lot of like alliterations here, or metaphors or examples, like however, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of that today, but you can't operate from someplace safe. Now there's communication coming in from both sides, and I'm not necessarily getting a sense of like who is going to initiate the conversation, and we'll open this up even further. So I don't know if you might not be, it might be one of you or both of you, or it's kind of like whoever kind of bends first. I feel like there's going to be communication coming in. It's going to come. Like, you're going to have some kind of like open dialogue here and be able to talk about what it is that you want. Regardless of the baggage, regardless of the fear, regardless of all of the past failures, like, you are going to have some kind of open communication here where it's going to be authentic and it's forward and everything kind of gets laid out on the table. There's not going to be any lack of clarity. And I think at the end of the day, it's kind of like eye on the prize, right? So if your prize in this is a fulfilling relationship, it's kind of like you have to be open about what it is that you want, where your boundaries are. Like, so we already know the Emperor's got a bit of like a list here. Spell out your list. And then if you are the divine feminine in this case, you have to know what it is that you want in order to make sure that you are operating in such a way that you are entertaining and bringing in things that meet your requirements. It's as simple as that. I feel like sometimes when we don't allow people to know where it is that we're operating from and where it is that we hope to go, it's really easy for somebody to upset our expectations when they don't know what our expectations are. So I feel like be open and upfront about what it is that you want. And I kind of feel like when you do that, everything's just going to move forward quickly. It's a Knight card. Knights are, rapid action. Knight of Pentacles is usually the slowest because it's a ground energy. Pentacles are ground. It's a whole thing. But the fact is, it's going to move forward. I don't know who this, again, like, I don't know who this is for. I don't know who needs to know it. And I feel like, again, like, both of you have kind of been through emotional battles. That's pretty clear here. And you're coming away from a place where you're taking on where you were coming away from a place where you were previously taking on unnecessary burdens. So I'm hoping that this helps. I hope I didn't go too far into the weeds. I feel like that was just general enough that it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't feel like overly specified. It didn't feel like an overly specific reading where I'm kind of drilling it down to like one or like, a very small subset of the collective. So I do think that this is kind of all encompassing. So if you feel like this resonates for you, let me know, claim it, do what you got to do. I offer personal tarot readings. You can find information wherever it is that you find this posted. But yeah, so all signs green is go. So good luck.